Greetings, fellow Gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to talk about Season 2 of Love, Death, and Robots, the Netflix anthology science fiction series that was originally envisioned as an adaptation of Heavy Metal, the magazine, but was eventually turned into its own project called Love, Death, and Robots. And for those of you who never caught our first vlog, which I can't remember which of our channels it was on.
I think that was on my channel.
Was on your channel?
Yeah.
We really liked the first season.
Oh yeah.
It was like Heavy Metal brought back to life. You got love, you got death, you got robots.
And it's like, let me put it this way: if you're like, I don't know how much love there was, that includes fucking.
Yeah. There's
fucking
sex, violence, science fiction, as well as just hilarious segments.
Yeah, because like the hallmark of like Heavy Metal is really animated violence, tits, and ass.
It's true.
That's true. That's it. Everything else, anything you could do with that, you're good.
So we really liked the first season, and naturally we were super excited about the second season. And it came out recently, so we decided to watch it. And my feelings on this season are actually very simple. I loved it. My only problem with it is that it is half the size of the original season.
I was about to say, the only problem with this season is that it's short.
Yeah, because the first season I think was like 18 episodes, something like that.
Yeah, it was like almost 3. It felt like 2 hours and 45 minutes or something like that combined.
Yeah.
This one's only like an hour and a half combined.
Yeah, this season is just 8 episodes. With each, they're all anthology episodes, so on anthology shorts. So they're like,
you can watch them individually.
Yeah.
You know.
But here's the thing. I wish there was more, because I really liked how many there was in the first season and just the weird variety of weird shit you got in the first season. But what I really like about this season is that even though there's only 8 episodes, they're 8 top-notch
really
episodes. Good. Like each of these episodes are like on par with the best episodes of the last season, if not better at times.
Yeah.
So like, even though it's a shorter season and I wanted more, I was glad that everything was like the best it could possibly be, right?
Yeah. There weren't a lot of episodes like that one about the vampire in the catacombs where you're just sort of like, well, this is okay, this is pretty good, but like,
yeah, it's not the best.
Great.
Yeah,
you know.
That one was just pure action, which was cool and all, but there wasn't much to it, right?
Yeah. A lot of these were a lot more on par with like Zima Blue.
Oh yeah. The thing about this is that most of these segments have some combination of the title. Like almost every episode, with a couple exceptions, it has love, has death, and has robots.
Yeah.
There's a couple that are different. Sometimes it's like brotherly love.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's a big one in I think the second episode.
Yeah. There's romantic love at one point. There is old people love at one point.
Oh yeah. There's actually a couple of stories about old people love.
Yeah. Absolutely. One of the major themes of this season seems to be immortality.
A lot of meditations on immortality and what that means.
About the only thing that the first season had that this didn't have much of is the first season had more overt graphic sexuality. This season had sex.
Oh yeah, it's there.
But it wasn't as graphic as it was last season.
Yeah, sex and nudity are in this thing, but like, it's, how to put it, it was more art house than grindhouse.
Yeah.
You know, the first one was like pure just grindhouse, you know.
Which honestly, like would have bothered me had the segments not been all so good.
Oh yeah, if they had been bad, then it would have been like, rip!
Yeah. It's that feeling of like, if you can't be good, at least be, grimy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know? But they're good, so like, whatever, it's great.
So great.
I was glad that even though it's a short amount of episodes, you still get your like meditation on life episode.
Oh yeah, totally.
You also get a couple horror episodes, and of course your weird idea taken to its utmost extreme episodes.
Are you talking about the first one?
Oh, the first one's definitely one of those.
Yeah.
The second one is the Christmas one, which...
Oh, dude!
When we get to the spoilers, we'll talk about that.
Dude, the Christmas one, holy shit. That one more than any of the others felt like an episode of Tales of the Dark Side.
Yeah.
You know?
There's also like most of these episodes are written by like classic science fiction authors, so you're like your favorite science fiction short story might be adapted in one of these. Like, go ahead.
Yeah. Like some of the authors that are whose work is represented are J.G. Ballard, Harlan, Ellison. There
There's a lot
I think there's another Straub story in there, and I know the previous one had a splatterpunk author.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
I can't remember
the
David
name.
Chow. It had
Yeah.
a David Chow episode.
Yeah, first season had a bunch, and this season continues that, which is really cool.
Yeah. Jordan Lansdale comes back.
The animation in this season is just fucking holy shit. All right, so there was a couple episodes in the first season that went for like the hyper realistic animation, and those looked good. But there's like 3 or 4 in this season, and they're amazing.
Yeah. You forget you forget it's animated until something animation happens.
There's one in particular where Michael B. Jordan from the Creed movies and from Killmonger from Black Panther. He obviously motion captured this one short film as the main character.
Yeah,
and I forgot it was a short film because it looks so much like the real him.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah, it's basically him in a room fighting a robot. It's called Life Hutch.
I didn't forget it was a short. I forgot it was animated. Is what I meant.
You forgot it was animated.
I forgot it was animated. Is what I meant to say.
Yeah, because like the environment, the way the environment is rendered, tricks you into believing that it's a real environment. So you start to gloss over any imperfections with the human character.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. Even though I'm talking about these particular segments that were super realistic, there's also the highly stylized segments.
Like the first one is highly stylized.
Oh god, the first one is like they're like old people caricatures.
Yeah,
so they have, like,
it
these big
feels
heads.
like it feels like it's like a Pixar cartoon.
Yeah.
You know?
and I think it was either the second or third episode had this really cool, grimy, steampunky aesthetic with these two brothers on another planet.
Oh yeah,
and that one was almost anime-esque in its kind of
that one reminded me a lot of like Anthology.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Yes, Anthology. Yeah. Absolutely. So like there's their stylized episodes as well. There's one that's like got this really cool animation that's like this combination. It's obviously CG animated, but it looked stop motion, but like stop motion as if everyone was painted in. It was weird. It was cool.
In the tall grass?
Yeah,
it was really cool. They had this. It's obviously 3D, but they made it look like stop motion, which I forget what does that. I think it's animating on thirds.
Yeah, maybe.
Basically, like usually animation is done on 2s, which means you shoot each frame twice. But if you want like a stop motion one, you shoot 3 times, and that looks like it's halting a little bit more.
Animation majors, sound off down below, and let us know what you thought of the shorts and how they looked, because I'm really curious. I love that short in particular. Kind of blew my mind with how good it looked. I really liked that one.
Oh yeah,
because it's like this weird stop motion-y, but it also looks painted, and it's like,
oh yeah, it was excellent. It was really
great.
Excellent. It's a great effect.
With a main character that looked like he was H.P. Lovecraft.
Well, yeah, I feel like that was intentional.
He looks like he was H.P. Lovecraft. That's what he looks like.
I kept waiting for someone to refer to him as Howard.
Oh yeah,
you know.
So, I really liked the season 2 of Love, Death, and Robots. We'll get into the spoilers in 1 minute, but I want to stress how much I like this. Is there any non-spoiler thing you want to mention?
It's great. I know that there has been some critics haven't liked it as much as the first season, and if you really want the animation to be like a bit more pornographic, and I don't mean that this in a bad way, I mean like, no, that's what you're here for, then this one might leave you feeling a little flat. Like this is in the continuum of the grind house to the art house. This is closer to the art house.
Yeah. I would agree with that. It is currently available on Netflix. I highly recommend, if you haven't seen the first season, then watch them all because they're great. Also, if you're the kind of person who really wants that more pornographic stuff, definitely watch the first season. Because the first season has a lot of that.
It's got it.
If you're just a science fiction fan, watch them both because you're gonna have a great time. And with that said, let us move on to the spoilers.
All right, do you want to do these in order, or?
Hey, whatever order you're thinking, I'm down.
Well, okay, so the first one is basically, one of the things that I noticed that is constant problem when you're talking about like animated shorts of any kind.
Yeah.
Is sometimes people don't understand what the joke is.
Oh yeah.
You know, like the first episode, the whole joke of the first bit is it's Wall-E with a body count.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's the whole fucking joke.
It basically, like, the first short is all about this woman who has bought this, basically a Roomba.
Yeah. It's like a super Roomba.
It's a vacuum bot. And the vacuum bot has determined that everything in the house is a contaminant, including the animals.
Yeah.
So she's trying to protect her dog from the Roomba that wants to kill it. And in the process of protecting the dog and trying to fight the dog, trying to fight the Roomba off, she ends up becoming a contaminant herself.
Yeah. And she's constantly trying to get, like, fucking customer service.
And that to me was the major joke of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Was the way customer service was automated too.
Well, yeah, because it was the voiced by David Cross.
Yeah.
You know?
So like you got this whole idea that like this entire world is 100% machine automated. Like everything you do, whether it's walking the dog or just doing the dishes, there's a robot doing it for you.
Yeah, they even do that thing. It's like, if you would like to speak to a normal person, bleep, the normal wait time for a normal person is 4 hours.
Yeah.
You know, as the machine is trying to kill her dog, you know?
So it's got the machine's going haywire trying to kill her dog, and she's on the phone with customer service the entire time, and the customer service robot is just as much as a dick as the robot that's trying to kill her dog, and it's hilarious. It's obviously a short that was written with the frustration of modern living in mind. Someone who had been on one too many calls with what the automated customer services and just had enough.
Yeah, it was just like the robots. Yeah, somebody was like, the robots are telling me how to deal with the robots.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the circle is complete.
And this segment is utterly hilarious. It kicks off the entire season with a laugh. And it gets you right into the mood. Like, all right, there's going to be love, death, and robots. Because there is love in this segment. Because at one point she is saved by the old man that she's been oogling across their pool.
Yeah.
He's basically in the other yard next door. And he comes and tries to save her. And then they end up taking off together. And then the robot apocalypse is upon them. Because they have to team. Every robot has determined they're contaminant. And so it's just them, the dog, and the robot apocalypse.
Yeah, and that's where it ends.
So there's love. A lot of machines die in that, and there's robots. So death and robots. It kind of kicks you off right away.
Yeah, well, there's the threat of death.
That's true. There's the threat of death. That's true.
Know? Your basic dramatic element.
Absolutely.
Which one came next? Was it
I think it was the one with the brothers.
One with the brothers? Okay,
I think so. The next one, if I'm remembering correctly, is about these two brothers not on Earth. It's specifically they're not on Earth.
Yeah. They're off world.
They're on some sort of ice planet, and one of the brothers is the black sheep of the colony because he is not augmented.
Yeah.
And so his brother, who is augmented, and by augmented we mean they're like
cybernetics.
Cybernetic parts in their bodies. Is constantly in the shadow of his other brother, who is augmented, who I believe is his younger brother in short.
Yeah. Now, we're never given a reason why he is unaugmented.
No, we're not.
You know, we don't understand we're not told whether or not this is a personal choice or something that he has to live with for some reason.
Yeah. Like, we're not entirely sure. But the crux of the short is he wants to go out with his brother and his brother's friends and prove that he's every bit as capable as the augmented people. And, he ends up in this weird situation where I don't know how to describe this. They're trying to outrun a ice whale.
They're trying to outrun an ice-based space whale.
Yeah. And
so you can see how cybernetics would be like kind of a crucial component to this.
Yeah. And so the crux of this is this guy trying to prove himself. It's almost like a sports movie.
Yeah.
But his brother like gets injured along the way, so he's got to help his brother and carry him across.
Yeah.
The
It's a sports movie, but the game is don't get killed by the giant space whale. You know.
But there is a twist to this segment, and that's at the very end when you find out the brother wasn't actually injured.
Yeah.
He just let his brother think he was injured so that his brother could prove himself.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of cute. It's a story of two brothers that care about each other.
Yeah. I actually missed that last part.
Oh, you missed it?
Yeah, I missed that part.
Oh, yeah. There's the part where one of the friends grabs the brother's hat.
Yeah.
And then runs off, and then he leaps after them and grabs the hat. And then he and the brother share that glance back at each other.
Right.
That knowing glance of like, oh, like, thank you. Like, you know? So it's a really cute short. The thing I really like about the short more than anything else is I think like this short is super visually interesting.
Yeah, it's the 2D, the most 2D style of animation that the season has.
Describing it as Aeon Flux animation, yeah, that's
yeah.
Like.
You can tell that it's 3D modeled, but it is intended to look. The final thing is supposed to look like flat and two-dimensional.
It's also got something that most of the shorts in this did not have that the first season had a couple of, and there's a segment where he gets high.
Yeah,
and there's a brief psychedelic segment, which was pretty cool.
Yeah,
and
got you that plutonium now.
Yeah. You know? So that's a cute short. And what was the one right after that?
The one after that, I believe, was in the tall grass.
No. The one after that was the child one, the baby one, the detective who hunts down.
Oh
traitors.
yeah. Right.
This is the most cyberpunky segment of the season. Basically, you have this film noir-esque detective who is whose job it is to hunt down people who breed in a society in which everyone is immortal and lives forever. Therefore, in order to avoid further overpopulation, people are outlawed from breeding. Now, they never tell you this, but it's all implied in the segment.
It becomes very obvious.
Like, I just described to you the things you learn over the course of this segment that it shows you instead of telling you. But that's basically the crux of this setting. And so you have this cop whose job it is to basically arrest breeders and shoot the kids.
Yep.
And you have the classic, like, I don't know, soldier story of the guy who's like going through PTSD because of what he has to do, and like questioning whether or not this is the right thing.
Yeah, because he's had to pull the trigger too many times.
Absolutely. And this ultimately culminates in him stumbling across this woman who has a child, and he can't do it. You know, he just can't do it. But of course, this means his partner, who shows up, has to do it, and now he and his partner have to go at it.
Yep.
This segment is what I like about this segment is that it's actually really straightforward, but because it's showing you and not telling you, it feels more complex than it is.
Yeah. It's a very simple story, but because of the way it's told, it's really intriguing. And it does have that, like, kind of the end of that one Sin City segment, like, you know, old man dies, young girl lives, fair trade.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also, like, I really love cyberpunks like settings like this one. So, like,
oh yeah.
And also the idea of what happens if humans defeat death and are able to live forever. What happens with population growth and like how
what do you do then?
Yeah, like because like in this cyberpunky setting, kind of like, you know how in like the Fifth Element there's all those towers that like reach up into the sky. In this they have that same thing because population has gotten that large.
Yep.
That like every inch of the planet is just massive skyscrapers. What was it? What was the Netflix cyberpunk show? Altered Carbon had the same thing. But unlike Altered Carbon, everyone's immortal in this one.
Yeah.
And so, like, I just... That's the kind of sci-fi shit I like to play with.
Yeah,
you know?
because it's like, it asks that question of, like, why do we want to have children? Mm-hmm. You know, not even, like, fucking placing a judgment on it. Just asking the question, why do we? And exploring it.
That whole, like, meditative scene where he just asks her why.
Yeah.
Like why is it so important for you to have that? Why is it so important to do this? Like, you can live forever, you can have whatever you want. And that whole answer of just like, because I don't think I'm important enough to live forever. It was something like that.
Yeah. I don't see the importance of living forever.
Yeah, you know. And also, you know, like I look into her eyes and like, you know.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, and I can see, and through her eyes, I can see the whole world for the first time again.
Yeah,
you know, which is actually really true. You know, like as you get older, you get more jaded about the world around you. But for a little kid, everything's brand new. But if everyone's immortal and old, everyone's jaded.
And nothing is brand new. Yeah. It takes a very special personality to do that.
So I really like that, and you know, it's another segment that had love, death, and robots.
Yeah. Yeah, really well done.
And then the one after that
I think was the Christmas one.
Oh was it?
It was either.
All right, well, we'll talk about the Christmas one.
Let's talk about the Christmas.
Yeah. So the Christmas one has a really cool twist. All right.
Yeah.
So it's called All Through the House, if I remember correctly. It is about these little kids on Christmas Eve, and they hear Santa Claus downstairs. So they rush downstairs to go see Santa Claus, and when they get down there, they're greeted with a tentacle. And all of a sudden, Santa Claus is revealed to be this giant fucking monster that's made of hands and tentacles.
Yeah. and it chases them through the house.
Well, no. What happens is the monster looks at them, says their name, and then barfs up presents because they're good.
Yeah.
And at the end of the segment, they get their presents, and the monster scurries up the fucking the fucking chimney. They're laying in their bed, just traumatized, going, "What would have happened if we were bad?"
Yeah, real simple. It's probably the shortest segment, but it was exactly the amount of time.
Yeah. It was really short, but it was perfect. It is. Oh wait, I actually remember what the actual next episode was. The actual next episode was the Western one with the immortal guy who was wanted. It's a dude, his name is Snow, and he's...
Oh, right. And he's on that planet, and everyone's trying to kill him because he's immortal.
Yeah, it's like a desert, like Mad Maxi style planet, or like Coruscant. Like
Coruscant,
kind of planet. And like he
or
goes...
Dune, Arrakis.
Yeah. And so he goes into this one bar, and it turns out he's wanted, and this one like rich guy wants him, and he wants his balls because it turns out he's immortal.
Yeah.
And so they want to take his balls so they can like... distill his immortality, and I remember noting, because the reason why I remember this is the next episode, because I remember noting that, like, 2 segments about immortality, right, side by side. And he ends up befriending this woman who ends up asking him all these questions about his immortality and what life is like, and then he leads her to his place, and then they're attacked by some bounty hunters, and she gets shot, and then it's revealed that she's a robot.
Yeah.
She's a cyborg. She's lived for a long time too. And he's sad because his wife died a long time ago, and so he's kind of lived this lonely, immortal existence. But she likes him.
Yeah. They're both immortal by 2 separate means.
So it's an immortal love story.
Yeah.
Between this robot and this guy, and there's a lot of death. So there's love, death, and robots.
Yeah.
And this is the actual segment that actually has a sex scene. It's not as graphic as previous seasons, but it is more of a romantic sex scene to begin with. So.
Yeah. Shit does happen.
Yeah. So we did the Christmas one. In the tall grass.
In the tall grass.
All right. Or no, just the tall grass.
Oh, it's just the tall grass?
All right.
Okay.
All right. Here's the thing. So when we were watching this short, The Tall Grass, and it's about a guy who gets off this train and ends up in the tall kind of grass you see on farms. Like sometimes it's like corn stalks, but there's a very specific type of really tall grass.
Yeah. If you've never lived like outside of a city, you probably imagine like the grass that grows in the lawn of the person that never does anything with it. Now imagine like an entire half mile of that.
Even imagine like crop circles, because
crop circles. Yeah.
If it's not a cornfield, it's a grass field.
Yeah. It's like because it turns out if you let it, grass will get taller than a person.
And so it's about this guy getting off the train and getting stuck in that grass, and there's these alien monsters that want to kill him or whatever they are.
Yeah.
And this segment was really good. It was a horror segment. It was really awesome. I only had one problem with it, and that the entire time I was sitting there going, okay, this animation's great, but I've seen this plot before. And and the plot is because I had seen an adaptation of a Stephen King story called In the Tall Grass, which was a movie made by Vincenzo Natali, the guy who did Cube and Splice, which had a very similar premise. But in that segment, one of the differences in that movie, and I believe the short, is that there's a time variation thing that happens when you're in the grass in that one. But it's a very similar premise. And I thought for a second, well, is this adapting the same short story? No, it's adapting a different person's short story.
Yeah, it's adapting a story by Joe R. Lansdale of a very similar title.
Very similar concept and title. No, I like the segment, but I had that moment where I'm like, oh man, Lansdale and Stephen King need to have some talk.
Yeah, they need to have a talk.
They have a talk.
Who came up with this? Like, was this one of those moments where someone was like, all right, I dare both of you to write a story about the same thing.
Yeah.
Gotta make it scary. All right, what is it? Grass. Challenge accepted.
Right down to the reveal that like some of the monsters are actually people turned into monsters by
Yeah.
Very similar. Like I'm like, oh man, this is really close. Like it's different enough to where it's different, but it's so close that you got to go.
Well, if you would believe that one was an adaptation of the other, you wouldn't.
Yeah, absolutely,
question it,
absolutely. You know, it'd be like if John Carpenter turned in The Thing as his own work.
Yeah.
We're like, well, this is different.
But
yeah.
You know.
That being said, I really love the segment, and I especially love the animation of the segment. That's the one we were talking about, where it's like kind of stop motion-y.
Yeah.
And I really like the look of that one. Let's see, what else do we got here?
One after that one, I think, was Life Hunch.
Oh, the one with Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. So the Michael B. Jordan one's very straightforward. He is a space fighter in the middle of a space fight, like a pilot.
Yeah.
Crashes, tries to get into this weird lifeboat, but there's a maintenance bot that wants to kill him because it thinks he's a contaminant or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's a basic story of survival of him versus machine.
Yeah. Now this is the Harlan Ellison story, and this is one of the problems that I have with a lot of Harlan Ellison adaptations is that a lot of people don't understand how sarcastic they're intended to be.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
You know,
because this is way more straightforward.
Yeah, this is very straightforward. It's like, oh, straightforward, like, oh man, can a man survive? Can he not? Blah 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 blah. And you're like, oh, this doesn't usually have like the deeper themes that Harlan Ellison usually puts in his stories, and that's because if you don't realize that the stories that he writes that feel like they're not as deep are actually jokes, it goes right over your fucking head.
Yeah, I can
because
see that.
this entire thing is basically, what if a man fighting with a vacuum cleaner was a life or death struggle?
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole fucking joke. Like, there was an entire story he did where the whole punchline, where it just, shit just happens, and you just sort of like, what the fuck was that about? Until you realize that the summary of the story is that it's a long way to Tipperary. That's the whole point of the story.
Nice.
And Ellison was like that. He did a million of those where if you couldn't figure out what the punchline was,
you'd be confused.
You were just lost.
Fair enough. The segment is way more like, if you've ever seen Alien 3, you know that scene where Ripley and the alien are like face to face? Imagine like a whole segment of that.
Yeah.
You know, it's Michael B. Jordan trying not to move and draw its attention, but also trying to find a way to defeat it.
Yeah.
And it's like a robot dog thing that's attacking.
Yeah. And the whole idea is like, what if your home appliance was trying to kill you?
Yeah.
You know, because...
Which, to be fair, I think the first segment kind of nailed that.
Oh, it did. It did. Well, that one had the tone that short story in its normal form.
Gotcha.
Is supposed to have.
Makes sense. Okay, let's see. What's after that? I really like that segment. I don't know if this is the next one, but it's the next one I remember, so we'll go with it.
Yeah.
The Drowned Giant.
Yes, the one based on the J.G. Ballard story.
Yeah. This one is the meditation on life segment.
I believe it's also the last segment.
Is it?
I think it is.
It might be.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Let's see. We'll go over it when we get done with this. But anyway, this segment is basically this journalist telling the story about this time an actual giant person washed ashore next to this one fishing village, and was just a giant that was dead.
Yeah.
And like all the thoughts about life and existence it brings up to see that this giant colossus even exists. What its life might have been like, and how human and inhuman at the same time it looks.
Yeah. It's supposed to kind of like, it's that whole thing that it's the same series of like questions you have when you look at a complete dinosaur fossil. Where you're just like, what the fuck?
Yep.
You know?
I also love some of the visuals on it, like when people are scurrying all around it and like are fascinated by it.
Yeah.
It looks like ants.
Well, yeah. Think of you totally get it because like think about it. Think about what it's like, what does every kid try to do when they see the giant dinosaur skull? They try to climb on it.
Absolutely. You know? Like, you get moments where kids are trying to slide off its belly. Like,
yeah.
Well, there were moments where I was sitting there going, like, that chick is just sitting and, like, writing in his ear. That's gonna smell so bad.
Oh, God, yeah.
Not only is it, like, someone's ear, which already... Like, up close, a giant ear is gonna smell. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it's a rotting corpse. And I also like just the meditation on death itself, like how inhuman the corpse looks the more it decays and rots.
Yeah.
And how eventually people have to do what they do with whale carcasses when they show up on shore.
Oh, yeah, which is figure out how to chop it up and dispose of it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Because otherwise it's going to be toxic just sitting there rotting on the beach, right? Which isn't good for anything. But obviously, like, one of the things is that they're feeding part of it to the ocean in the end, because, like, bones wash up on shore, and so people start taking those bones.
Bones are doing shit with them.
Like, hanging them up on, like, shops and stuff, and I'm like, oh, man. Isn't that true? Like,
well, yeah, because, like, it's inviting you to ask the question, wait, when are we gone?
Mm-hmm.
When are we actually gone?
Yeah.
Like, because you think about it, you're like, well, obviously at some point, but when is that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really cool segment.
Yeah. I actually really liked it.
Well, because it's the one that's the closest to something like Zima Blue from the first season.
And if you're like, why do you keep referencing Zima Blue? That means you haven't watched it.
Oh, because the reason why we keep referencing Zima Blue is because it's like hands down one of the best segments of the first season.
It's one of the best ones they've ever done. It was the best one of that season, and if you. God, it would still probably be the best one if it was in this season.
I know.
You know?
It's that good. But it says a lot that we keep comparing segments from this season to that episode, because it was the best of the last season. So, let's see. All right, so
which is probably why they went in the more art house direction, because that was the one that was more art house than Grindhouse.
It was the one that was the most praised, so it makes sense you'd want to imitate that more.
Yeah.
Right? All right, so we did the home appliance one. We did the brothers. We did the Christmas one. We did the giant one. We did Life Hutch. We did... What am I missing?
Tall Grass.
Tall Grass. We did... Because I know there's 8.
All right. Vacuum cleaner, Christmas, breeder... Brothers.
I think the breeder one was the one I was missing there.
Yeah. Breeder Brothers, Immortal Robot, and Robot.
There's people in the comments. There's people in the comment section right now screaming whether we got it or not, and if we didn't get it, like which one we're missing.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, whatever. If we're missing an episode, fuck it. Like,
we're sorry.
we're sorry. We watched it a couple days ago, and we also watched Castlevania in between then, so we've been watching shit. So
yeah.
I highly recommend season 2 of Love, Death, and Robots. I highly recommend season 1 if you haven't watched it yet. And with that said, where can they find you, Count Jackula?
Oh, you can find me on Twitch, Count_Jackula. You can follow me on Twitter at JackSatanWave, and you can find me on Instagram at SatanicJackula. And I stream on Twitch every Thursday and Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I hope to see you there. How about yourself?
Y'all know me. I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on Twitter, on Twitch, on Facebook, on Instagram. And
shit.
Yeah. I made the Instagram recently, and now I've just been posting selfies on it like an Instagram whore. And you know what? I like it, so I'm gonna keep doing it.
I know.
You know?
There's something nice about it.
You know, there's something about posting a picture of myself and having a whole bunch of people go, "Oh, that's hot." That makes me go, "All right, you know what?
Still got it, baby."
This is the encouragement I never got. Like, I never got this in high school, so I want it now.
Yeah.
You know. Be sure to check out our Patreon pages, and remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and if you made it this far into the video, then put down hashtag Robofuck. So I know that you made it all the way to the end of this vlog, and work that into your comments somehow. And with that said, we're going to record another vlog, and I'm almost losing my voice, so we better do it. Peace out.
Get you one of them robot voices.
Oh, yeah. All right. Like fucking, hello, I am a robot. I don't know why my robot became weirdly French.